Hello and welcome to a Richard Mille RM010 Titanium unboxing. Okay, so this was my weapon of choice for Watches and Wonders in Geneva. A lot of you were messaging saying you love the look of the watch, and I thought what better than to do an unboxing and show it off. Let's have a look and see what we've got inside. There she is. Okay, so perhaps this was a bit of an odd choice given that both RM and AP had withdrawn from the show in 2020. But unlike the Swatch Group removing itself from Baselworld, the split was entirely amicable and pretty easily explained. So for those of you who keep an eye on the watch world, you may have noticed that both Richard Mille and Audemars Piguet have moved to a different business model of late. They're doing away with third-party retail partners and moving towards the boutique/monobrand model of selling their pieces directly to consumers. With that in mind, the need to attend a trade show designed to showcase new releases to potential trade buyers is minimised, as stock will be moved through manufacturer-owned boutiques instead. It would probably be more political, shall we say, to wear something from an exhibiting brand at Watches and Wonders, but I love the RM010, and as much as Watch and Wonders was about showcasing releases from other brands, I felt like I wanted to bring something that I really enjoyed wearing to see the show, plus it did match the Ferrari very well. It was a bit like going to an event with your best mate, plus being titanium, I knew it wasn't going to slow me down. I do really believe this is the everyday wearer of RM's line. So this brings me to a rather interesting point, or at least interesting if you're a watch fan, and I'll assume because you're here that you're into it. Richard Mille was the pioneering brand for the use of titanium in luxury watches. Citizen and Seiko had already visited the use of titanium cases a good 20 years beforehand, but it really wasn't seeing the light of day in Switzerland until RM blew onto the scene using this rarely seen material for both the creation of their ultralight cases and movement components. Mille himself said the manufacturing process for titanium is expensive. This is why my titanium cases are almost the same price as gold. My interest in titanium was not just its use as a casing for watches. I was the first to make a titanium base plate for the watch, and this was so costly, so time-consuming, and a headache, but I did it because the material benefits, such as shock resistance, are substantial, and I will not make any compromises in my watches. And in conjunction with Vaucher, began to conceptualize titanium as a base plate and movement material. You see, when we talk about these RM models, you start to realize that they were really groundbreaking. If we think that right now, 22 years after the first titanium RM, Watches and Wonders is absolutely buzzing because Rolex have released a titanium Yachtmaster. If you haven't seen the Watches and Wonders video, do check it out. It's a great watch, if I don't mind saying so myself. So if you understand that RM were doing this 22 years prior to Rolex, then you can really start to appreciate just how much of a front runner they were, not just for their own developments in materials and movements, but as an ideas company that the rest of the industry took its sweet time to follow. The Tudor Pelagos in 2012, the AP Royal Oak Offshore in 2017, and the Rolex Deep Sea Challenge in 2022. RM using titanium for the RM001 in 2001. So, on to this titanium beauty. Let's get it out and have a look. So straight away when you get it in your hand, you just think to yourself, this is the perfect size RM. The eagle-eyed amongst you might notice that I'm sporting the RM30 in titanium, which of course is a much larger piece. We'll get a video for you on that shortly. This RM010 is from 2009 and was produced during RM's first decade. You can see just how tough this grade 5 titanium is by the condition that this watch is in some 14 years later, because it's immaculate. Size-wise, it's perfect for my wrists, which are medium and mighty. It's a 39mm diameter and 48mm lug-to-lug watch. And you can see that it curves its way snugly around the wrist. That's thanks to the ergonomic tonneau shaped case, which has become a signature of the brand. The case is machined from titanium and then fully hand finished. So you can actually see the graining of the case and the polished bevels, which are typically spot on for a high-end piece. The strap attaches inside a notched area of the case by two splines which make its arc all the way round without any lugs or straight ends to disrupt the flow. It's a touch that really does make this super comfortable to wear. The best thing about the RM10 is it becomes almost unnoticeable on the wrist after a few minutes, which is always a good sign of an ergonomically well-designed piece. As all RMs are skeletonized, they use a double sapphire on the front and the back of the watch, one thick to protect the watch as per usual, but another wafer-thin slice sits beneath and has all the markers and date frame printed on it, so as to not disrupt any of the view. The date wheel is also skeletonized as well, and you can see the numerals surrounding the main body of the movement. If you happen to be looking at around midnight, it's very satisfying to watch the wheel click round as the next date slots itself into a place within its frame. So this uses the caliber RM AS7, which is based on a Vaucher movement, and the RM10 was conceived before RM made moves to create their own in-house calibers. It's been heavily modified to make its base plate and components out of titanium, and the movement is delivered in shades of grey. Even the sapphires used are transparent, so that the usual ruby colour doesn't detract from the monochromatic theme. Richard Mille succeeds as a brand because it's always been in collaboration with some of the big behind-the-scenes names in manufacture, working to realise the ideas of the man himself. They started out working with Renaud et Papy, a complication movement maker from Audemars Piguet fame. They took their tourbillons and rattrapants, while the highly respected Vaucher SA supplied and modified the movements, powering the RM005, the RM10 and the RM11. So all in all, when you're wearing a piece of the early RM, you're also wearing the result of some of the greatest watchmakers across the board working together to create something completely new, which I think is really, really cool. The price of this RM10 in titanium is £98,000. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on this RM10 titanium unboxing. Please do, if you haven't checked it out already, go and have a look at the Watches and Wonders video. It's action-packed and definitely worth a watch. Please do like, comment, share and subscribe, and we'll keep bringing you more content.